Wesley House next on City Corner. I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome to City Corner. For more than 120 years, Wesley House has been a community anchor supporting youth, families, and seniors through a wide range of programs and services. Today, we're going to learn more about their impact, learn about those services with the Executive Director, John Saunders Jr. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Sarah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's such a pleasure to meet you. It's
Yes.
great to have you here because with Wesley House, it's been around for more than 120 years. I use the term community anchor, really making a difference in the community. And so I want to start things off with what has made that longevity sort of present, to be around for that long in such a successful and impactful way.
Well, I think it's a number of things. Not only the fact of history and legacy, but people have become very familiar and very aware of what Wesley House can provide, whether it's for our young people, our families, or our older adults. So it's been around so long that people know where it is. They have a very good idea of what it does and are very comfortable in coming to us to either get direct assistance or maybe be referred to another agency for something that we don't do.
Well, let's start things off for people who have not heard of it. For Wesley House, we're going to put up a graphic. Where are you located? And kind of talk a brief overview of some of the programs that you have.
Okay. We're located at 4507 Lee, which is right on the corner of Lee and Taylor in the 63115 zip code. We are in the heart of North St. Louis. Our footprint location is Grand, Natural Bridge, Kings Highway, and Highway 70. So within that footprint, that's where our primary population that we serve reside. However, our services are open to all zip codes, even St. Clair County residents have come to our food pantry. So mentioning food pantry, that is one of the services we provide for families. However, our youth program, we start with kids as young as 6 years old, and we go to 14. Prior to the tornado, which we will discuss, we encountered or had youth programs for after school. Kids would actually, school bus would actually let them off in front of our building and they would come in, tutoring, homework, afternoon snack. Then we do 8-week summer camp, which is a free camp. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But we also do Saturday mentoring programs. One is with an organization by the name of Black Girls Do STEM, which focuses directly on educating young African-American females about the careers and opportunities in science, technology, engineering, and math. And then we have a male mentoring program by the name of Saturday Boys Academy, and they work with middle school and high school young men on college preparedness. They take an annual college tour. So those are partners of ours that allow us to extend our youth program further. Third Wednesday of each month, we do a food pantry where we serve an average of about 60 families every month. And basically what we provide is food sustenance that could possibly last a family of 4 for about 2 weeks. Okay. And then we do approximately 2,000 home delivered meals every week to disabled and seniors in the community. And then we have our seniors that we bring to the facility on Tuesdays and Thursdays to socialize, to play bingo, gossip, whatever you want to do. You can always tell when the seniors are in the building. So within those scope of services, we really touch upon each generation that's within the community.
No, I'm going to ask you about that, or do you want to ask you about that? Because it's youth, intergenerational. We have youth, individuals, adults, as well as seniors. And I do want to dig into some of those problems. I find what's really interesting about without getting into, 120 years, you and I were out talking off camera that the origins of Wesley House was as a settlement house in a different location, but it's been at its current location since what year?
1952.
Since 1952. And I thought what was interesting that you were saying to me when we first met was that how you've adapted to provide services for the community. And so what do you feel currently are sort of those most urgent needs for the individuals that you serve?
I really believe that the most important thing is being able to help them understand that there is hope. There are opportunities, whether you're a kid, a mother, a father, or a senior, that you can have opportunities to live a better life. And a lot of times, many of our clients don't really see that. They don't feel it because there's so much negativity that surrounds them every day. You mentioned about the origins of being a settlement house. And really, in a sense, Wesley House is still a settlement house because when people come to us, they really refer to us as the number one house on the block. And then when they're there, they feel comfortable. It's almost like they're at home, their second home. So, so we take pride in being able to be that place for people.
So what is it, when people walk in, what they feel? Because if it is that sort of that central point within the community, what is it that they feel when they walk in the door?
Now, after the tornado, they're really amazed at the transformation of the building because it looks totally different than what it did before. So that's the initial reaction, is that, okay, wow, this is a new space. This is a new place. So there's a resurgence, there's a renewal of opportunities, and just to feel that Wesley House is back in the mix and ready to roll. Because being outside of the building basically about 6 months, that had an impact on the people we serve. The first food pantry that we did afterwards, one lady, basically was in tears saying that I haven't really been able to afford to go to the grocery store, but coming here and getting this box is going to make a difference for me and my family. So when you see those types of things and being able to make an impact directly, it makes it all worthwhile.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And I do, because we are talking about the tornado, so we should acknowledge that Wesley House was hit by the tornado. That path was went across, St. Louis, North St. Louis there. So how long were you shut down?
Really about 6 months total. But what happened right after the tornado is that we kind of shifted gears and became an emergency hub for hot meals, cleaning supplies, referrals to FEMA, information resources to get access to other organizations that deal with traumatic situations that families face. So for about 6 weeks, we were victims ourselves. And then we had to look at, well, what do we need to do to get our facility back up to speed? We had to get all of our equipment hauled away to make sure that it was still operable. Some was operable, some was not. We had to remove mold from the building because of all the moisture that came in, and it being an older facility, it held that moisture in. So we had to clean that up, and then once all of that was done, we had to really redesign and put a timeline together so we could look at, okay, when can we get back in the building and be back to full service?
And with the families that you serve, you're also now dealing post the tornado with an added element of trauma, right? Because it's like some people completely lost their homes, or if they did, if they were able to survive their homes, it's not fully intact. Have you had to, since reopening and just with the services that you were doing on a daily basis, had to have permanently now, or at least for a time being, adjusted them to help with that?
Well, what we have been able to do is refer them to entities within the city government. And because of the fact, and I'm not overstating how our relationship is with the city, is that when we would contact a person in City Hall on behalf of a family, we wouldn't have them call themselves, okay? We would get them connected with someone that we have dealt with, whether it was community development agency, City Hall itself. we wanted to make it a direct connection so they wouldn't get run around, okay? So in that sense, we became advocates and conduits for these families to get connected to resources until we were completely back up on our feet and were able to continue our operations.
To continue that. Thank you for sharing that. This is right at this point where I want to be sure we get into, you've got summer camp going on for enrollment that's getting there. I want to cover that. I do want to talk a little bit more about your senior services, but right now what I'm going to do is cut away to, we've got some full screen graphics we're going to show you before we go to break. First, this is Wesley House, just how to get in touch with them. They're celebrating more than 120 years of success in the community. And I think what John pointed out too, that not just within the immediate vicinity, but serving all areas in St. Louis, providing services for youth, seniors, and families. We're going to talk a little bit more when we come back about the summer camp that's coming up this summer, as well as the Golf Classic. And then, as John has alluded to, the third Wednesday of every month, the Food Pantry is open. So those are the URLs, the web pages that you can go to for more information. And then, as we did discuss, the tornado did affect Wesley House. And so if you would like to contribute or learn more about the Tornado Relief Fund, you can head to their website to make donations or learn more about how you can help with rebuilding and restoring the building and services. But there's a lot to cover. I appreciate this intro. We're going to take a quick break, but we're going to have more with Wesley House when we return. Please stay with us. We'll be back after this.
Did you know that you can watch STL TV on your smart TV? That's right. With the new STL TV Now app, you can watch STL TV at home without a cable subscription. And that includes our live broadcast channel as well as video on demand content. We have apps for Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. You probably have at least one of those at home, right? But this one is a Fire TV. Now listen, it is really easy to get started. Just find the App Store on your TV, then search for STL TV Now. Select it and click to install. And in just a few seconds, you are enjoying STL TV's great programming such as City Corner, Inside Sports, City Government, and public interest coverage. Or, my personal favorite, In the Kitchen.
I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome back to City Corner. Today, I'm joined by John Saunders Jr., who's the Executive Director of Wesley House, which has been around for more than 120 years, providing important and crucial services and programs to the St. Louis community, specifically in the Penrose neighborhood, but also serving people beyond that area. I want to bring up summer is just around the corner, and summer camp is huge, right? Because a lot of families, this gets into where most people have to, a lot of times, come out of pocket or not have their children in any kind of supervised setting. But you're offering, Wesley House is offering no charge summer camps. Tell me a bit more about the summer camp program.
Well, as we look at summer camp, I really have a special place for Wesley House Summer Camp because I attended summer camp as a kid at Wesley House. So it's an 8-week program. We provide not only opportunities for them to come to the facility and actively take part in STEM sessions or chess or one of the other programs that we have is trauma awareness, anti-bullying sessions, all those types of things. But we look at getting them out and exposing them to new opportunities to become educated on things that they may not see on a daily basis, like going to the National Museum of Transportation, going to the Magic House, being able to learn how to swim, being able to learn how to play chess. Because once we started looking at chess as a program component, chess is a thinking game. And you have to think 2 or 3 moves ahead in order to be successful. So that's how we get them to understand that you have to think 2 or 3 steps ahead in life in order to know or have an idea of where you want to go. So all the things that we do program-wise lead to the aspect of thinking, knowledge, awareness, and being able to use our summer camp not only as a fun opportunity, but to keep their minds sharp as well. Before, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, right after COVID, we had young people as young as 7, 8 years old coding on the computers. So from that standpoint, they're producing digital products, okay? And that's something that I see on the screen. That's one of the kids that's doing the STEM program. So from that standpoint, it gives kids an opportunity to learn and to grow their minds. So summer camp starts June the 8th. It will run through July 31st, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. We actually have quite a few young people already registered for that program. So yeah, we're very excited about it, getting it back in our building. We had to relocate it last summer because of the tornado, but we are very excited to get them back in our building.
Yeah, that's great. No, summer camp it's vital for families because that's how working families need, to have their children. It's great to hear that that there's so much interest in that. I do want to cut over to a bit that you mentioned to your community partners. We've got this graphic that we pulled off your website. What's interesting to me, you have, this is a significant amount this is really pretty, this is wonderful, really. Yeah. Tell me a bit more about the community partnerships, because a lot of times, people will, Wesley House Association, and you're doing all this work, but you're supported and you're in partnership with all of these organizations. How does that all kind of come together?
Well, it's intentional in nature. We are a United Way program.
Okay.
And maybe about 7, 8 years ago, United Way kind of changed their mindset on funding organizations and placed a great emphasis on partnering with other organizations that may do something different than what you do, but it's a connecting point. For example, each one of those community partners that were listed there allow Wesley House to expand the scope and the reach of what we do in nature. We can't do it all ourselves. So therefore, we include not only our community partners, only in program service delivery, but when we look at funding opportunities or charitable foundations, we include those community partnerships to show that, hey, it's not just Wesley House on the corner of Lee and Taylor. It's far-reaching. So that's the whole purpose behind each one of those community partners. Black Girls Do STEM, as I mentioned, they do monthly meetings in our building. New Dimension Soccer is a program that we work with that will be doing a soccer camp this summer. So again, each one of those partnerships is intentional to expand the scope and the reach of what we do.
It's so interesting too, because it's what you're doing is bringing so many others to your area, because if not everyone is able to get out.
That's right.
And the role that you're playing in the community, it's so vital. That's the thing day in, day out that I think sometimes we overlook, is that, people get caught up in sort of talking about who should be providing services, where what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, year after year after year, for decades.
Yeah, and the other thing, Sarah, about that is because Wesley House is a staple in the community, staple in the community, people that want to come into the community to pass out information or get access, they will come to us to get to those people, because sometimes, especially our seniors, they're not going to want to deal with people they don't know. So particularly with our seniors, whenever there's a program or activity that, for example, we work with, it's called Co-Equal, and it's a program through WashU that focuses on the early onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. So from that standpoint, WashU came to us and said, okay, Wesley House is ingrained. You have these senior clients. How can we work with you and through you to provide this service and information to them? Even from the standpoint of back during COVID, we had some folks that, and again, it was another program through WashU that wanted to test and take surveys on how the seniors looked at COVID, getting the vaccine and things of that nature. So we did a survey, and we actually were part of a WashU publication. I mean, that appeared in a medical publication. Because of that relationship. So again, when you talk about services coming into the community, people look at us and say, okay, you have the reputation, you have the contacts and relationships. How can we work with you?
Thank you for sharing that. I want to be sure that we have time to cover one of your fundraising. Fundraising is important, volunteering and fundraising. You have a golf classic coming up. So this is the day of golf, but obviously the money raised through this is going to support all the programs. So tell us a bit more about that. Well,
actually, it's our third year, and it will be at Forest Park Golf Course, the Norman K. Prosteen course. We actually have sold out the first 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And we possibly may be adding a third golf course because the course has 3 courses. So we have already sold out 2. So we may go and look at getting the third course. We have a meeting Tuesday to discuss that. But the Golf Classic brings together corporations, businesses. We have faith-based congregations where the pastors come and play, other community organizations. And even from the standpoint of, I believe there are 6 young people that are enrolled in summer camp that will be going to a golf camp. And as a result of them being in that camp, they will be able to play in the tournament. So we're going to have about 2 teams made up of middle school and high school young people playing. So
that's a good entry point to learn how to play golf.
So, we have, say, a sponsor that's not going to send a foursome out, but they've agreed to let the kids take their slot. So last year was the first year we did that. And it was so interesting to see the older golfers giving the younger golfers tips. I think primarily because they wanted them to learn, and plus they were slowing their game down. Okay, so they wanted, okay, it's time for you to move on. So, but no, it's a event that brings together a lot of segments of the community.
I love that, and it keeps the theme of the intergenerational theme as well, which I wasn't aware of. I want to be sure before we wrap things up to talk about. There's 2 things that I want to clarify. I want to make sure that we include. One, what your sort of hope is for the future of Wesley House. I mean, you've been in your position now for 7 going on, nearly a decade, and you've had involvement since your youth. What do you want the future to hold for Wesley House? What does that look like to you?
Well, I want Wesley House to continue to rise. Okay, I don't want us to settle for just what we've done, rest on our laurels. I want us to continue to look at ways how we can improve not only our organization, but people that we touch on a daily basis. The other thing is I really want Wesley House to continue to be that hub in the community, because when it does emerge again, we want to be a centralized piece to that. But I just think that as our branding statement talks about, in engagement, encouragement, and empowering, that's what we need to continue to do. We have to engage not only our youth, families, and seniors where they are, but we have to encourage them to want to do better and have a better way of life. And then, the last part of that is that when you are encouraged, when you have engagement, when you have encouragement, then you become empowered with knowledge, resources, capabilities to do better. So that's where we're headed. We want to continue to not only be that historical place, but we also want to be a place with vision and that continues to emerge. That's why we named the Golf Classic On the Rise. We want to continue to be on the rise. one other thing I want to point out about our youth program is we will be establishing a youth podcast program. Okay. It's going to be entitled Wesley House Youth. Why? Why are things like this in our world? Why do we have to do things this way or that way? We'll have guests like yourself and Andre and people like that, literally you've been around the world, okay? So people need to understand, young people need to understand, you've been around the world, but you've come back to St. Louis to make an impact. Yeah. It can be done, okay? And the other thing I tell my staff, why not us? Why can't it be us to do it? Yeah. So it's not rocket science, but it's a science.
And what you're bringing to is it's a mindset, especially in a leadership position, that needs to be had, because you have to have vision. You have to. And I appreciate you being here today. There's so much more I want to ask you that I think hits on deeper levels, but I think today we've covered quite a bit about the programs and services and your vision for what Wesley House is doing now and what the plans are for the future. Okay. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And thank you at home for watching. Before we go, we're going to really quickly put up these full screen graphics so you can learn more information about Wesley House. Sometimes when we do these interviews, it's really hard to convey the impact that the nonprofits in our community are making. I hope today we shed a light on some of that. Wesley House is doing it. And please learn more about the work that they're doing, learn how to support them. Head to their website, wesleyhouse.org, and write down in your calendar, we've got these events coming up, the summer camp, the On the Rise Golf Classic, as well as the food pantry being open. And I know we didn't cover too much about that, but again, you can go to Wesley House, to their website to learn more about the food pantry. And last but not least, St. Louis is still trying to recover from the tornado, and so if you find a way to want to learn how to support Wesley House and their tornado relief fund, you can head to the URL that's on the screen there for you. So we've covered a lot. Again, John, thank you so much for being here, and thank you at home for watching. And keep it right here on STL TV. Experience St. Louis.